On this episode of the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, Lil Durk has been arrested and is facing life in prison. We want to talk about why so many rappers are facing criminal charges and more. You guys stay tuned, man. There's a lot to talk about today. Let's go.
Arkatech Beatz.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It is the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I am Juggernaut.
I am Mike Trauma D.
And together we make this super duper group, Arkatech Beatz. Every week we get together to talk about things that are happening in the music business and how you can navigate this thing. If it's your first time here, make sure that you are hitting the subscribe button and the notification bells. Also, every episode of the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast is brought to you by our books about the music business. So if you want to learn the music business and more, make sure you're logging into arkatechbeatz.com to kind of get those books. You know, they support the channel. Thank you for that, and let's keep it pushing. Today, we're talking about Lil Durk being arrested on Thursday. It looked like he was arrested in Broward County in Florida. Looks like he was trying to board a private jet, trying to flee the country, they're trying to say it here. Apparently, his arrest is basically related to a murder for hire charge. Basically, for those who have been watching this kind of close, we know that there was a death of his partner, King Von, and other associates. And it looks like it was basically a retaliation to basically get back at the situation for what happened to Vaughn. And it looks like they have everything here as far as them trying to murder for hire, the people who did it. It looks like somebody got murdered in between that, right?
Yeah.
They look like they were trying to get the person that killed Vaughn, but why they're killing someone else?
They were trying to get Quando, and Quando's cousin
got killed in that, right?
Yeah.
So now what I'm looking at here, it says, according to the indictment, it says charges against the 5 people. So we're looking at, what's that, Kavan, London Grant, a few other names. Prosecutors have ties to the OTF, which is called Only the Family. It is basically a Chicago group of guys, or they would say gang, allegedly. And everything here is an alleged involvement in a murder for hire plot. Durk is really big, like one of the biggest coming out of Chicago outside of Chief Keef, right?
Yeah.
Kanye West, right? And for this to happen now, why are so many of our rappers facing these criminal charges? We got Thug down there fighting the RICO in Atlanta. We got this happening, and we got the Diddy situation.
Like, and Yo Gotti, you need to be careful because
there's a lot of talk around him too. But we'll get into that. But in this situation with Durk, because there are multiple instances of videos of OGs trying to warn this young rapper. He's not really that young, like 32, but to really warn him about this happening to him, right? About him trying to retaliate and what the implication was as far as the feds watching and so forth. It seems like he disregarded these guys and what they were trying to warn him and school him about. And there are several videos online with like Wallow and Gilly and these guys begging him to not really, get into this situation. And he did it anyway.
Allegedly.
Yo,
I'm disappointed because, I really liked Durk. Like, I was rooting for that kid. Like, I listened to his music from when he was really jumping off the porch. Like, I remember the video of him, Chief Keef, and Fredo House, no shirt on, just like, and you look at those videos and you see how young they were, man. And I just, then the record, This Ain't What You Want, that was one of my favorite records from Durk. And I knew, watching that video and seeing him, like, I knew that this guy had it. Like, he had something special. And like, I rooted for this kid, man. Like, really, like, I was like, he was one of the ones that I was like, yo, this the one right here, and that was making the kind of music that was going to surpass the regular drill kind of music. Right. It was very melodic, and He was part of, I think, you know, when artists started doing more melodic records like they do today, I think he was one of the ones that was helping really create that kind of sound, that kind of feel. You know, yeah, you got Future, but you have someone like him that was also really putting his stamp on the game. So outside of the music, you know, he got past a lot of deaths. You know, a lot of people on his team. You know, he beat cases.
Yeah.
He had family members like killed, managers killed. Like there were so many people in his circle that were victim of violence. You know, managers, cousins. You know, people on his record label. His brother. You know, he was just like, there's no way you could go through all of that and be okay.
Right. Especially at such a young age.
And the internet used to always make fun of the way Durk looked, like his eyes, like that look of like that 30-yard stare, that, because someone like him, you always got to be on your toes because you don't know what's going to happen at any given time. You know what I'm saying? To have that many deaths, to be surrounded by that many deaths is just, you know, it's scary. So for him to get past that, and reach the success that he is you got to tip your hat off to that, because that's something like you don't see every day. So to get past all of that and then to fall into this trap. I mean, you beat all of that. You got the key to the city. You got charities. You got all of these positive things. And then for this to happen, to kind of like backslide, as they would say, it's kind of like, damn, it's disappointing. You beat so much just to get here and then, you know, make a really, really horrible decision, you know.
And I'm trying to figure out, like, why do so many rappers feel like, okay, now I'm getting the money and I can just, you know, pay people to do crime. That I can, you know, allegedly I can pay people to do this and I can pay people to do that. And they feel like it doesn't come back to them, or feel like it won't come back to them. Like, I guess the number one rule in criminality is the less people that know, you know what I'm saying, the better it is, right? If you're going to do these type of things. So, you know, especially if we're talking about, you know, plots to whatever, you know, to off people. And I just find it just like, to just reading through some of this stuff, it's mind-boggling to me, because we're looking at somebody who's made some millions of dollars.
Yo, hurt people, man.
And listen, I get it, you know, and I get it, and I have to say it from a certain standpoint, because if you've never experienced this thing, meaning like if you haven't experienced the loss of a friend or somebody, the gang violence, people don't seem to understand what that really means, especially when you're young, you know. And I've experienced that as a young person, going through that type of situation, and you know, people wanting to get their get back, you know, and I understand that, like I do understand it. And what I've started to realize in our community, especially when it comes to the rappers, is that they're really not equipped to deal with this type of stuff. Like, you know, and we've been talking about this for a long time, meaning that they're not equipped to deal with fame. They're not equipped to deal with the amount of money that's coming in. They're not equipped to deal with things that happen like this when gang violence occurs and they're celebrities, right? So say the King Von situation happens, that's his artist. King Von would have been the next guy. We can all say that, right? Looking at his music, looking at what he was going to bring to the table, that it was hard, probably he's going to surpass her, right? Because he had it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gets murdered in such a horrible fashion, right? And then you kind of know who's taking, you know, in this day and age, people take credit for those type of things, right? Like that's really, that's the horrible thing about the music right now, where it's at, is that people are taking credit for when things happen to other people, right? So all you're doing is more incitement of violence between each other. All right, when you going to slide for Vaughn, when you going to do this, when you going to do that. And I just feel like that pressure to do something, right? And now having the access to the capital to do something. You might think you can do something, but the feds is waiting, man. Like for everybody out here who is African American, who's black in the situation, who's making money, the feds are watching and they're waiting. They're waiting for you to take that money from you, right? Because there's also a lot of jealousy that happens in this circle where they don't feel like you deserve what you're getting. They don't feel that, you're really earning, you should deserve to earn that type of money doing what you're doing. So there's a lot of hatred in that situation, and they're waiting for you guys to make a mistake. And I don't think that we're equipped to handle some of this in some cases. I think that even though we're talking to these guys and we're trying to tell these guys, and I see the clip on Joe Budden, who was saying, there are so many bodies between what was going on between Lon, young NBA young boy, and all this stuff, that there's so many bodies. It was like, which one of us as OGs who are established, who are making money, taking care of their family, want to insert themselves into that type of situation to tell these guys what to do and what not to do? So a lot of guys is just like, nah, we don't want to do with that, right? We don't want nothing to do with that. And what we're watching them eat themselves. It's like, and this is like really a shame, because now what it does is it takes another hip hop superstar, pulls him out, right? And you got Thug with the same situation going on right now. Hopefully he beats it. But the way that that's going right now is real crazy. But look how much opportunities are being removed from us as a community, because they're looking at this and they're saying, this might not be the best investment in the future.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's so many ways you could look at it. I mean, before even the music, just being black and being in these environments, you already have things stacked against you. It's difficult and challenging as is just to move around, and then when you add on being a celebrity, or you add on money, if you're not if you're not trained, how to use money and how to save, how to, you're just gonna do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, your behavior, just because you get money, just because you become a millionaire, doesn't mean your behavior is going to automatically change.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we say, hey, you got $1 million, yo, how you behaving like that? Well, you give a 17-year-old $1 million, he's still going to behave like a 17-year-old, but just with $1 million. Money automatically matures a person. And that's not always the case. You have to be at a certain level mentally, away from the money. So, these guys are hurt. Their friend is murdered, and they're angry, and they have the whole world looking at them, and the whole world is expecting them to do something. And when you're hurt and you're angry, and you want to do something about it, and you're kind of bound to a certain street code if that's what you subscribe to. You kind of like trapped into the street code. Like, I got to do this or else I'm not this. And then I lose this. But if I do this, then there's a chance of this happening, and then I'm losing all of this. So it's almost like it's a catch-22 in a sense.
I saw another take on it. This was from again, Joe Budden podcast, and it was Jada's son, Jaquan, that was saying the psychology of it, where he was saying that a lot of these younger guys that are going through this stuff now, the loss causes them to be somewhat suicidal, right? Because you figure there's so much depression and so much of the loss, so they have a suicidal thought that then turns into homicide.
Yeah, crash outs.
So it shifts. So it shifts from them wanting to hurt themselves to them wanting to hurt other people, right? And when he said that, I said that was definitely an interesting perspective, because that would explain it. That would explain what we're seeing. We would see people who are devastated from loss to the point where they don't want to be here, but that energy now is shifted from that suicidal thought to now we turn homicide. And it's really a vicious cycle that we're caught into, that I don't know what's going to really fix what's happening right now. I don't know. You know, you have some people who are they're happy that this happened, right? I guess that they feel like this is the only way to kind of purge the system of what's happening, like let everybody get, brought down. And I feel like there is going to be a shift that does occur because look at these arrests, right? You have to look at these arrests and like in 2023, all these people, gone down like this and they're saying more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it feels like a clearing of the board.
I won't say that I'm going to condone, poor behavior. I can't say that, murder for hire and all that type of shit, man. Like, come on, man. Like, you guys got to do better than that.
Does this mark? Can we use this moment to mark the end of drill music?
I don't think that it marks the end of drill music. But actually, I think it does. But I also think that it marks the turning point for just overly aggressive musical content. I think the content that you and I grew up on, that we loved, I don't think it's going to resonate with this next generation. I think this next generation is going to be too soft to manage it. They obviously cannot manage this type of music. They have taken this music and have decided to live it out. Whereas we took it for entertainment, but they decided to actually live this out. And it just can't, it's detrimental to the community at this point. So us as OGs now, we have to look at this and say, you guys are not in the right spaces. Social media has your minds fried. You guys think this stuff is real. You guys are out here committing real situations, treating this like you guys were, part of a Soprano movie or something like that, thinking that you can do this type of stuff. Like, this stuff isn't real, man. Like, you can't do this type of stuff and get away with it.
But hip hop also, see, here's the catch-22, and this is all, I think, all of this stuff is twisted up. Because for hip hop, one of the key things about hip hop is authenticity. Being authentic, being real, being what you say you are, not being what you say you are, claim you are, then your music and everything else is inauthentic and you're held to a certain standard. You're actually having straight up criminals becoming rappers and they're rapping about their life and it's authentic, So they're saying, well, now I'm hip hop because I rapping about what I truly am doing on the street. Have that whole context about, well, he's real. He's a real rapper. He's a real hip hop. He's a real head. About that, does that make someone from back in the days who may not have been involved in that life, but was rapping their angles and views as if they were? Does that make them any less authentic?
It makes them any less authentic. But we have to ask ourselves as a community that type of authenticity. I'm a murderer. I caught multiple bodies. And I'm spinning on the track and I'm telling you how I slid on people airwaves. And that's why I'm glad that at this point we're seeing gatekeepers coming back because we have to start to protect our community, man, at this point. I ain't gonna hold it. Like you and I have been in this business now for close to over 25 years, right? Mm-hmm. And we can look back and we can see the decline. We can look at it. We can almost pinpoint it to where when the music starts to decline, mm-hmm. you can also see decline in us as a group. You can see
hand in hand.
It goes hand in hand. As the music starts to decline, you see us same way with it. Social, economic, everything. So it's directly tied to the music, right? So people have to really have to look at it and have to ask themselves, like, okay, is this by design, right? And look, if you ask me, and I know this is going to go a little crazy. It might sound crazy when I say it, but when you look at the current political climate, and we're 10 days out from an election, right? Give or take, right? What's the major issue for this year? This immigration. And you would ask yourself, like, what's all of this situation with immigration and so forth and so on? Because what it starts to feel like to me is that in this country, they started to abandon Black Americans. Like the context in mind, when I look at it, it looks as if, you know, the powers that be are looking at Black Americans and say, hey, y'all guys are beyond help. We got to find another group that we can build up here in America. And that's what it looks like to me. So people are going to say, hey, how can you say that? But like, look at what's happening. Like we got a cat here that's making multi-millions allegedly arrested for murder for hire, right? We got Fulio that got killed earlier this year, right? Mm-hmm. Who else, right? Gang violence, we know that because he was smoking or whatever. We know that's related in some ways. We're talking about, who else? We're talking about,
was it POV Rocket killed? Was it last year?
It's California. It was last year, but you know, the year before last, give or take. But that's California, but that's a robbery attempt. What about Memphis guy? I forget his name again. You know what I'm talking about. Dolph, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, this goes on.
This goes on. So this list of people that are being murdered for this type of stuff. And it's retaliation, back and forth.
Right. And not to mention the people, the unnamed people, the wars that's going on behind the scenes that we don't know their names. And
the associates, right? The associates, the brothers, right? Yeah. Like you said, the cousins and all that earlier. It's like, well, what are we looking at? So we're looking at a music that's detrimental to the community. And us as the OGs, we just stood by and let the shit happen. Like we just said, hey, we're gonna let them propel this music to the forefront and brainwash these kids into thinking that, you know, this is real hip hop. And it's like it's authentic, but listen, no other community would allow this to indoctrinate their children. And that's the reality of it. No other community would allow it. So I look at us and I say, hey man, we to blame for this shit because we don't take enough responsibility to say, listen, man, this shit can't fly. The same way they press the button and make sure that certain things don't get top max airwaves, it's the same way we got to do it. Like, this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? This ain't it. This don't deserve the share. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and we have to make sure that we're putting those vehicles in place. But what happens is these guys are using this type of stuff to profit off of. I can guarantee that Durk music is going to be number one come next week.
Yeah, who profiting off of that?
You know what I'm saying? Who profit off of that now? You see what I'm saying? So they profit off his demise. And as he's going to be going through the whole process of court and everything, this music going to be at all-time high. You know what I'm saying? And the Fed's going to collect all of it because remember now it's part of a situation where, you know, it's been used for illegal activity. So now the Feds are going to take all of that money that's being generated. Going to be directed straight to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are working for the Feds and not even realize they're working for the Feds.
And if they find any other crimes that he may be involved in, they might just slap a RICO and call it a day.
Listen, the RICO is the way that they make sure that he can't beat it.
Yeah. So if it comes to light that there are other crimes that's been committed, you know, through OTF, then they're just gonna go ahead and just push forward for a RICO, and then that's gonna be it.
Did they say that some of these guys are up for the death penalty in California?
Well, the murder to hire charge has you know, it has a death penalty or life. So if the Feds push for a death penalty, yes, they can.
So everybody's gonna be telling.
Well, everyone's already telling apparently.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna tell.
Apparently, they're telling, and the information that's being said, like for the Feds to know some of the things that's being discussed, someone or multiple people have to be telling, because it's in detail. You see that it's also they're saying wire. Someone was wearing a wire as well. Some of these things are being said in detail. There's no possible way the Feds know what's being said, what's being discussed, how much, when and where. You know, there's certain things you capture on camera, yes, but when you're talking about conversations being had down to the detail, that's somebody saying, "Hey, I was there. This is what is being said. This, that, and the third was there." Boom, boom, boom. So they definitely have either one or multiple people talking, clear as day.
It's wild. Okay. Cause I'm looking. I've been seeing some stuff about people with defect. You said with the wires and all of that stuff, and I'm just like I just don't get it, man. This is the wildest thing.
There's a lot of accusation that we're not going to say. You know, they pinpointing and saying names of who and this that, and third. And, you know, I don't think that's wise and safe to just start assuming and putting people's names, saying that they're snitching.
I'm not
third.
Yeah.
But according to the documents that are being saying, it's apparent that there's definitely some cooperation going on. Somebody or multiple people are definitely talking. So, you know, when you get involved in these things, in these situations, man, I don't even know why at this level you have so many things that's able to track people down. You have the way technology is now, between cameras and location devices and recording devices and plate readers and face recognition, and you have so many things going on right now that, you know, doing a crime is just you're already good luck.
I don't even know why these guys are trying. Like in this day and age, like this, you know, the stuff that you think people are getting away with, bro, that's fantasy, man. You know, it's like eventually you're gonna get caught out here.
And you know, a lot of these criminals in general ain't too bright anyway.
I go without saying.
Yo, so that they use the OTF credit card,
allegedly,
to rent these vehicles. Like,
I from what I understand, they use the credit cards allegedly to buy the plane tickets.
Yeah.
So I don't know to tell you. I don't know what this is looking like. You know, a lot of these guys, and I'm going on record, and I'm not trying to say that, you know, I'm not trying to give criminals any tips, but look. You guys watch Diddy get taken down and get no bail. And Diddy didn't kill nobody, allegedly. Okay? So a lot of you guys need to look at this and see what's going on. And you guys need to ask yourself if you got some things going on. It's time for you to skip town.
Stop whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. It's time for you.
I'm not giving them any advice, man.
Yeah, it's time for you guys. Like
this shit.
Yeah, like I don't know what you guys are really thinking. You're not going to beat the feds, man. You're not. And the key to all of this stuff is that once they hit you with those conspiracy charges, bro, you're a rat. They're gonna lock up all the assets. They're gonna drain you dry. You're not gonna have the money to fight back. It's a wrap. So a lot of these guys, I don't know what these guys think they're gonna do here, man. Like I really would hope and pray that a lot of these guys are smart enough to say, you know what, I've made enough money. Let me try to, let me try to do something so that I don't have to, spend the rest of my adult life behind bars.
Yo, what's really bothersome is that, these guys have a talent, and they've created, something special with their talent. Music, and then because of that, they've created opportunities to employ, additional people. Like, you got to think about it on that level. Like,
right.
You had talent, you took your talent and you turned it into something that was marketable. You turned it into something that people love or respect. You created a fan base off of your talent. You created job opportunities for people around you and the people you love and you care about. You create additional opportunities for other ventures and other deals and other things to happen. You got yourself out of the environment that was designed to keep you down and oppress you. You got out of a situation that, is and it's, speaking of statistics, is designed to just keep you at a certain level in a certain place and eventually kill you, you know, and you beat all of these things. And it's a sad case that you get to a certain place and you're given the key to the city, 2 keys to the city, as, you know, you're doing charities, but to allow, you know, whether it's the internet trolling or people around you or your own demons to convince you that you could do something like this and even get away with it. And, you know, just the chance of risking all of this, like you got so far, you know, you're at the finish line, you know, and to risk it all, you know, clearly these guys are not thinking straight, you know.
I would say to you, how can you think straight? Like, if you think about it, let's really think about this now. Let's think about their lifestyle. Let's think about how these guys are raised. Let's think about the first time we see Chief Keef on the scene and what that looks like to us. All right. How old is this guy? How old is it? 15, 16?
Yeah.
Right. And we said, damn, they're living like that at that age. All right. These guys are really effectively on their own as soon as they hit double digits in the street.
Yeah.
Right. So what we're asking is we're asking people to operate on levels that they have not learned to operate in. That's what we're asking people to do. We're asking people to all of a sudden, you know, act civilized.
Erase all of that stuff and then all of a sudden behave a certain way.
Right. To take that trauma, because it is trauma. Let's be honest. For all of those who are raised in the city, I'm looking at the camera, for all of those raised in the city, they understand what I'm talking about. It's like you have unresolved trauma. Just because you're able to operate as an adult, it doesn't mean that those traumas are resolved. For all of those who have been in places like I've been in places where you've witnessed people being robbed, witnessed people being shot, witnessed people bleeding out, witnessed people being cut, right? Witnessed people dying. When you see it
over and over again,
it turns you into something else, right? So we can't sit here and act like, okay, well, what was he thinking? He's thinking like who? He's thinking like how he's been bred to think. Yeah. You know, it's a survival mechanism, right? I can't leave the people out here that kill my man out here because they're gonna eventually try to kill me.
Right. Yeah. And we're not trying to make excuses. We're just explaining what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. So so when you come from a certain environment, right? Brooklyn, Bronx, Chicago, you know what I mean? When you come from these areas, you know, the guys that are upstate coming from Albany and all that type of thing, when you're coming from these places, you know, what's that? Different places in Florida right now, like when you're coming from these different places, like, listen, man, these survival mechanics are real. And there's nobody, look, man, we're talking about extreme levels of poverty. We're talking about extreme levels of, you know, of fatherlessness and you know, and just being out in the street. Like, this is what is happening. So, you know, part of me wants to say, hey, you're no longer in that environment. But, you know, a guy said to me the other day, like, you know, he's like, hey, you made it. They give a success story. And I said, what do you mean your success story? But yeah, it's a success story. You know, you got your family, you got your kids, you bought your credit, you did that, you did all these things, you made it. You made something of yourself. You got out of the hood and you did what you needed to do. All right? Mm-hmm. But you, even when you say you quote unquote made it, you still have that mechanism when you go certain places, you're looking around. Yeah. They call it ghetto paranoia, but that's what it really is. It's the trauma from you being in those environments that everywhere you go, all you're looking for something that's going to pop up.
Right.
You no longer live there anymore. You're not there anymore. I'm in the burbs. I don't see none of that no more. You know what I'm saying? But my kids will never experience what I experienced. But you can't get it out of you because that's how you was raised. You just keep seeing things the way you see things.
And it kept you safe.
And that's the also thing. That's the also thing is I hear you say, I made it out because of,
I adapted and I behaved this way and it's kept me here.
And for those guys, remember, they're going to say, I'm still here because of what I had to do. Right? Now, that could be alleged, whatever. Yeah. Ops came for me. I took care of it. That's why I made it to where I made it to. Could be looking at it like that, too. Like, I've always had to handle my ops. If I, you know what I'm saying? I would not have made it to 32 if I didn't handle my ops. You know what I'm saying? Because remember where they come from, this is a different thing. So this is a really, really, really horrible condition that we're in.
And just because you think everything was okay and cool and you walked away doesn't mean the other person.
Exactly.
You could have quote unquote matured and said, I'm removed from that. You know, I've grown up, I've matured, this, that, and the third, but it doesn't mean the other person that you had an issue with 5-10 years ago has grown up.
It never stops. And remember, when we're in this business, you're not hard to find.
Right.
You're not hard to find. We know we can look at all your shows. We know where you're going to be. You know what I'm saying? We know what kind of chicks you like. You know what I'm saying?
And then you want to, you buy the fancy vehicle so your car stands out like.
And in some cases, you have a situation like what E40 and them did where they booked the venue and made you come to the venue, and then they got the drop on you. So yeah, we'll pay you to be there. You know what I'm saying? So we'll pay you to come, and okay, you come think you doing a show? We coming to get you. We know what hotel you right now, everything, because now we the promoters. And everything is set up. So he's operated out of paranoia. Like, period. Like survival paranoia. So he's operating out this way. And there's no other way for you to operate. But see what happens in this game is like this. You gotta make your money, and you gotta get out. You gotta get out. Like once he starts to reach certain heights, and if you feel like he's not safe and that he has to take out the ops in order to manage himself in the United States, bro, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to take your money and go someplace undisclosed where nobody knows where you're at, man. So you can live in peace, man.
But even that is,
they're gonna say it's boring, right? They're gonna say, "Oh, it's a boring life."
It's like you're a slave to your success.
But that's the issue, bro. It's just as hard as it is for us to go out here and make it. It's hard for us to keep it. You know that, and I know that. Like we have to make it, but we have to maintain it. We have to keep it. So the same thing, we have to sacrifice to make it. We gotta sacrifice to keep it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're a father and you got kids. So when you're a father and you got kids, it's your responsibility now to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're going to be taken away from your kids. And how do your kids survive? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. Your kids now don't have you to lean on or you to say, hey, I don't do this or don't do that or that. Well, how do I navigate this? You know what I'm saying?
And the cycle continues.
There you go. And that's part of the problem that we have. And so, I think that we have to really start having this conversation more in terms of, OGs, man, like, listen, like we are the ones now, a lot of us from the era are in our late 40s, early 50s, right? Mm-hmm. And you're seeing, we saw it, we watched it, we talked about self-destruction, right? Mm-hmm. Late 80s. And now we're looking at it, like we're looking at it for real. Everything that C. Dolores Tucker and all those people was talking about, and how bad it was for the community, we here now. Now we said, oh, y'all don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. Now, look what we looking at. We looking at the shit in shambles. And we like, whoa, why is it so bad? Why is this guy getting RICO charged for this guy down south? This guy over here is attempted murder? Like, come on. Like, this shit is crazy right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We don't see this in any other genre, do we?
Come on, that's not even a question, bro.
I'm gonna have those people like, hey, what about the other?
This ain't happening no place else, bro. It's not happening no place else, and if it was, it's not being televised. I don't know about it, but this ain't happening no place else. We're watching this thing happening in real time. We're looking at this. I'm looking at Lil Durk and King Von's estates were basically being sued for FBG Duck's murder. You know what I'm saying? So King Von's estate and Lil Durk that was being sued earlier this year for this guy's wrongful death murder. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you see those things starting to occur and the lawsuits was coming, like, you guys got to start putting two and two together. If there's a lawsuit that people can actually get paid from and prove in the court of law that they can get money from it, how far is the indictments behind?
Yeah. And if the feds are looking at that situation and trying to tie it back to him,
thank you.
Then the RICO is gonna come right back.
Thank you. You guys
because then they're gonna have two murders that's underneath underneath OTF, O Block, you know.
I want artists to start thinking, like think about it. Like, if somebody is suing you guys and can win in a court of law and get a whole bunch of money for wrongful death or whatever lawsuit it is for whatever you guys are doing that is illegal, they're suing you. How far are the criminal indictments behind? I mean, if they got the evidence to prove that, then they got the evidence to prove the criminality.
But you're talking to a 17-year-old.
Yeah, 17, man, 32.
No, but I'm speaking in general. In general, a lot of these kids, they're at a young age when they're doing these things, and they're already set. Their minds is already set, and they're already conditioned. So by the time they get to a certain age, they like we just said, they're conditioned in that way. There needs to be almost like you come home from the military, you need like a debriefing or something. You need a therapist to you know, help get you out of that type of thinking.
So now I see why Charleston White, some of Charleston White say too, you say, like, man, you can't save none of these kids. Just too far gone. Like, you got to let this generation purge itself. And that's where we almost are. We have to say that we almost in a situation where we have to literally, that they're not at a point that we can save them, right? The cognitive dissonance is too great. We can't save them. We can't save them with any facts. We can't give them any new information. Can't give them anything that's going to persuade them or change their courses of action. So you're going to have to let them be eaten by the system. This is how, so when people look at the 1994 crime bill, this is how those things occur. This is how those things get passed in Congress, because they look at it like there's no way for us to save them. We got to basically just lock everybody up. We don't have an answer for the crack epidemic. The only thing we could do is lock everybody up.
I don't even know what to say on that. Like, that's just
like that's where we are. You know what I'm saying?
Like, feeling of defeat. It gives you a feeling of it's all said and done. Ain't nothing like all the talking to, all the programs, all of the things that you try to do day in, day out makes it seem like it's in vain. Ain't nothing can really be done.
Listen, and then you know what, you start to wonder, you start to ask yourself, like back to the politics again, but politics a little bit, but the politics sometimes tie into this weird type of thing, you know what I'm saying? And then you ask yourself, like, why is it that these keep folks, like, why is it like in our community again, why is like abortion the number one issue? You know what I'm saying? It's like they're literally trying to tell you not to have any children because, like, you can't control them, you can't do this, like. But
then we have music that is just so hell bent on behavior that promotes, it's a revolving thing. It's like art imitating life imitating art. You kind of don't know at this point where the ball starts from. It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, it just keeps going back and forth.
Listen, these folks have already established, and they realized this from a long time ago. From, if you go back to blaxploitation film and everything, these folks have already understood and they realize that Black folks in America can be socialized through media.
Yeah.
So folks already knew that. This is not new. This is 50 to 100 years in making. These folks know that if you want Black folks to do certain things, just put it in popular media, point blank, period. So we're the ones that are really the fools, because they monetize it. But they monetize it, and we basically have to live through the destruction of it all.
Yep.
And we got to live through that. Whether it's good times, whether it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like you got to live through that. Like, whatever they got on television, we got to live through that.
So where does it go from here? Where does the music go? Because it seems to be a shift in music.
Yeah, the shift is that now all of the older artists now are deciding to release music, right? Because the younger ones are being wiped out, right? So now it's like the younger ones are being wiped out. How many people now that's associated with this guy and this genre of music now is not going to get no love, right? Yeah. We got the OGs already saying that drill is basically the worst music out here.
Yeah,
already, right? People are already saying that. So now, the same way that people tried to flip the switch on a Drake and say, hey, we don't want to listen to that no more, they're going to flip the switch on this thing. And they're going to make it look like it's the people that don't want to listen to it, but it's really the people behind the scenes that's saying, hey, this is no longer profitable. We're flipping the switch on and we're turning it off. And honestly, we got to turn it off. It ain't helping us. Like, we have to say, hey, this is an L. We wanted it to be authentic. We wanted it to be real. We liked that it was real, but now it's too much. It's you know what I'm saying? It's too much. It's at this point, it's like, okay, you guys are all losing your freedom. All you guys' money is going to be confiscated. And then the lawyers are going to get rich. See, happening is all the lawyers getting rich.
They cashing in.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
y'all getting paid.
They getting paid for y'all stupid shit.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Negative, man. Like, nah, man. Y'all, we got to do better. Like, there's no way. Like, we letting them get rich. The system getting rich off of y'all. Y'all put all that work in to survive the cutting and the shooting and everything and the murder. Y'all survive all of that now to get locked up for the feds to say, hey, all of this money looks like it was part of a criminal conspiracy.
What I gotta say?
Yeah, this money wasn't for rap. This money was to be used for crime. This money wasn't used to take care of people's families. No, it was used to commit murders, allegedly. Sorry, all your royalties coming in. I can't go to your kids. Your kids might use the money to go do something else with it too. Like, come on, man. It's like negative, man. Like, I can't. I sit there and I look at this stuff and I'm just like, I'm mind boggled by it, but I understand it too, because coming from those environments, man, like, it really skews the way that you think, your perception on life.
Damn, man. It's like, damn, there was no OG that could have really stepped in and say, yo, don't do this. Look,
you've seen it.
There was nobody closer.
You've seen the intervention happening on real time, and he just couldn't. He couldn't process it. He couldn't process it. The hurt was happening too much. It was too much grief. He couldn't process it. Sometimes you get that grief on you. You can't process it.
You're like, fuck that.
Yeah. You can't process it. He couldn't process even the grown man crying next to him, telling him, I did a 20-year bit, and I don't want you to do the 20 years and miss out like I did. Telling you, somebody that lived through it. You couldn't get no realer than that. You can't, right? I can't tell these guys certain things because I didn't do certain things. Certain things I looked at and I said, that's too far. So there's only certain things that you can talk to those kids about because there's no relatability.
Right.
How many people are going to be able to relate to the serial killer? Not much. You know what I'm saying? Like, not much, bro. Like, that's hard. That's hard to find somebody that, a King Von want to respect, because you would have to have been putting in that type of work.
Allegedly.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, like, this is different. And look how young this guy is, man. This guy's a really young, doing real, allegedly real wild type shit, man. That's real crazy. You know what I'm saying? When you look at that and you look at all of the bodies, and you're like, well, allegedly, like, this is a lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's really going on? It's looking like a power sitcom. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
It's terrible, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is wild. Like, there would have been there's no way we could have talked these guys off this ledge. There's just no way.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
The minds are made up a long time ago.
Yeah, there's no way. And and I know, being somewhere we come from, once a guy goes out here and beats somebody up, let's just say I'm a bully, I'm the neighborhood bully, I'm the big guy, I beat the first guy. You know what that comes with. That he want to beat everybody up.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Right.
Well, you're going to get him first.
You know what I'm saying? So now he beating everybody up. Right? So now he feel like he's invincible. You know what I'm saying? So take that and apply that to killer. He catch the first body allegedly and get away with it. Catch another one, get away with it. Like, come on, bro. Allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see like an iteration of Bishop and Juice in real life. You see that. You see when it all, and for those who come from the environment, the guy who busts his gun. The guy who busts his gun, he's different. You know that, and I know that. He's a different kind of guy. Like, this is a guy that really don't give a shit. He's different. He look different. He different. You know this. Everybody who's from the hood who know shooters, you know what I'm talking about. They different. They built different. They don't move like other people move. You know what I'm saying?
But hold on, Joe. But then at the same time, you know, there was a different type of if you're gonna compare, there are different type of shooters. You know, if we're talking about that stuff, and I don't like to talk about, you know, that stuff too much, but there was a sort of street respect and street morals and street codes, you know, back in the days. A lot of these guys that are shooting today, they're shooting for different reasons, you know, whether it's for clout, whether it's because they're scared, you know, but it's nothing that you can say, okay, I understand or I get it. They do it to be on video, to show off, to get a deal. They do it just to be talked about, they do it out of, oh, I want to be looked at as the bad guy. Like they do it for the reason that you wouldn't expect the reason to be. Like you would think that, okay, the guy did it because, you know, he's getting them back because he's hurt and he's this, that, and the third. And if you go by that, you could understand it. Not condoning it, but you could understand it. But when folks are doing it because they want to get views on it, or they want a record deal, or they want some type of notoriety so they can get a record deal, it's just like, yo, what's going on in it?
It's the way these things are now, man. Social media wise.
It's really ridiculous. Like you do stuff and then go and make a rap song about it, and you're showing off the items that you've used and or whatever you've stolen, and you're showing it off on social media, and you're just like what is this? What are you doing that for? Are you doing that for notoriety? What somebody says you ain't shit, and you're trying to prove to everybody that you are? You got no self-esteem in yourself, and you just trying to show that you that guy? You want people to respect you? Is that what it is? Because you feel you've been disrespected, or nobody respects you, or even looks at you. So you're doing these things for some sort of clout, to feel important, to get a record deal, to get sponsorship or endorsements, to have people talk about. Like, what are you doing this for?
I would ask to say that a lot of these guys right now are doing it for survival, because you're a part of a crew that has something that precedes you, and you're walking into something that now you have to stand 10 toes down.
Okay, but if you're doing it for survival, why do you showcase these things on social media? Like, wouldn't it stop at where it stops at?
Nah, it doesn't.
Why would you promote it?
Because you're trying to monetize it. At this point, you're trying to
the video.
Because you're trying to monetize it at this point. You know how it is. That was the formula. That was the formula to monetization. You know that, and I know that. We're going to talk about what we did, and it seems so outlandish on social that we get all the views, and now we can monetize it. Now we can have a career based off of this. And now we have to keep looking for higher levels of...
I'm sorry, that just made my head hurt. I'm going to go and do this crime, and then I'm going to showcase the what I've taken, or I'm going to showcase the weapons that I've used, and then I'm going to monetize the views so I can get paid and make a career, possibly get sponsorships and a record deal.
Yo, that's part of the problem. No gatekeepers. Because in the past, we would have shut that down. You would never have gotten a record. You know that. The only person that probably broke through something like that might have been a 50 Cent. And look how much trouble they gave him before he literally got on. You know what I'm saying? They was like, hey, he's too connected to the street. We don't want it. You know what I'm saying? And he was blocked on almost every level. And then once he started to switch, and then, lucky for him, he got around the right people and decided to, change it down. But prior to him being shot, you know how he was moving.
Yeah, but even Jam Master Jay got caught out there on some stuff, man. So it's just like I don't get it sometimes, But I think it just comes down to, at the end of the day, where you are mentally. Like every individual, where are you mentally? And I think that's something that needs to be talked about, and people need to kind of explore. Like, yeah, we talk a lot about people in group scenarios and the masses, but I think every individual has to think, where are they mentally, and how are they going to move forward? You have a decision to make every morning. You get up, That's one thing you have. You have a choice and you have a decision to make. You know, those are two things you have every morning. So you got two choices, and then you got to decide what choice you're going, which direction you're gonna go, and you got to think about the outcomes from every decision you make and how it not just impacts you, but the people around you, the people who look up to you, the people you support, the people that you take care of, the people that depend on you. And every person will have to make those decisions, every day when you get up.
Listen, man, I'll go even further and say, listen, not only that you got to make those decisions, man, but, I think guys have this, at this point, you guys got to start seeking some help. Like, I'm saying? I'm starting to feel like, there's a severe issue in terms of mental illness. Like, you guys got to get help. Like, you're not going to be able to manage this level of loss and work through this level of loss and think clearly and make appropriate decisions for yourself. Like, you're just not going to be able to do it. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you, and if you add substance abuse on top of that, there's no way you're going to think straight. Just no way. There's just no way. It's a Molotov cocktail for you to really just fast forward your demise. Like, honestly, there's nothing that can save you when you combine criminality, substance abuse, mental illness, and we put it all together. It's just no way. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we're watching our youth unravel right in front of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we're watching. And a lot of us are standing by and they're saying, hey, we can't save them. We're doing our best. A lot of folks be coming out here. We've been on this platform and we've been saying about this for a long time. And it hurts because we love hip hop. We help to create a lot of the things. We love this music to be as aggressive as we can make it. But we have to really start thinking like, man, if I can't play for my kids, man,
folks can't handle it, man.
Yeah. I can't play for my kids. I guess it's not the same time. We used to drink from the
my son will say, I don't want to hear that. Quickly.
Yeah.
Anything sounds remotely aggressive.
Right, but look how we're raising them now. We're raising them that they don't have to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Like, think about that. Like, you don't got to worry about certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not even taking you over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even understand what's coming. You don't even understand any of this stuff, So I want us to kind of close and for people to understand, like, listen, we want rappers now. We have to do better. And then we have to, the ones that have been around and have been in this position to see, the effects of this, we got to start talking up. And we got to start telling these guys that, hey, that music right there, I know it sounds dope to you, but it ain't it. And you got a bigger responsibility because we're the culture whose music, kind of decides the culture. That our music determines, how people are going to act, and we really have to decide, like, hey, this ain't it. We go from Arrested Development to drill. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can see the difference. When people were on that, they dressed a certain way, they talked a certain way, they were on this. And then when it went this way, it changed. Like, it is what it is. Like, and we love what we loved, and we can't act like it doesn't influence us. It influences us. So for us that know that to be true, we got to do better to make sure that we're not influencing them in the wrong direction. Remember, we went through that thing where folks were being influenced for drug use, and that skyrocketed. Now we're going to this chamber where people are doing, alleged murder for hire. Like, what?
I really hope that, and that this is all wrong. I'm hoping that they got something mixed up and like he's not guilty of it. Wishful thinking. And
I don't call it wishful thinking, but it's wishful thinking. It's really wishful thinking.
Yeah, I hope that he's able to, I don't know.
And look, it's a testament to his authenticity. We know what it's built on. We know it's built on real shit. You know what I'm saying? So we know it's allegedly, but we know that he come from that. So we know what it is. People who know what it is know what it is. You know what I'm saying? When you come from something, you know what it is. You know? And the way I see it, it's like you're trying to survive out here the only way you know how. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, you know, the feds ain't gonna see it as a survival situation, a protection situation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately. You know what I mean? Like that's really where we are. So I want everybody to be safe out here now. Like this is crazy to see this now. And you know, again, we're looking for we're looking at more arrests before this year is out. There's a word on the street is that the Diddy list is supposed to come out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Everybody, make sure you follow on us at architectbeats.com, www.architectbeats.com.
Yo,
Make sure that
before we move on real quick, you know, we lost a legend this week.
yeah,
You know, rest in peace, DJ Clark Kent. You know, a super executive DJ,
producer.
tastemaker. This guy connected dots and, you know, did a lot of records and deals that, you know, helped develop hip hop. You know, when you're talking about, you know, Big, Junior Mafia, Jay-Z, you know, he was involved in a lot of records, you know, and I hear it's, you know, now they're saying it's colon cancer.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, and I don't know, you know, steps or if there was anything going on as far as if he knew or if any preventatives, or I really don't know how far, but kind of to add on to what we're talking about just in general, like us taking care of ourselves, and you know, I had a conversation with one of the fellas last night about, you know, getting checked out, going to the doctor, and he was just like, and I'm like, dog, you gotta go, you gotta get checked out. Some of these things I understand make you uncomfortable, but you gotta know what's going on, you know, and you can't just be out here just doing whatever. You gotta, you know, go to the doctor and ask for certain tests and follow up, and, you know, especially as you get older, you got to definitely make sure that you're good and take the right protective measures. But I'm not saying that, you know, he didn't, but just it just reinforces about health in general. So I wanted to make sure that we touched on that as well, and definitely our condolences to Emily, as far as loved ones. That's a huge hit for hip hop. Yeah, man, that's all I got, man. Rough week for hip hop.
Rough week for hip hop, man. Everybody, make sure you gotta stay safe out here. And until next time,
peace.
Be safe out there.
Arkatech